Okay, we're ready.
Oh, now we're ready?
Well, we are in the Hill Country Youth and Event Center. This is where all the briefings have been held so far today. And everyone that you've been talking about, Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Nim Kidd, and also, yes, we're coming to you live from the Hill Country Youth and Event Center. If you're hearing us, you may have a little bit of a problem with the signal, but let me know, because we are in the bowels of a big building. But we are waiting for the governor and the other officials are in a room just on the other side of this wall. And so they're going to come out and give us a briefing. Also here, Nim Kidd, who is the Chief of Emergency Management for the state, along with local officials that we've heard from earlier today, like Sheriff Larry Letha. Also, the mayor, Joe Herring, mayor of Kerrville, Rob Kelly, who is the county judge in Kerr County, and also Clint Morris, who's the usual spokesperson for the sheriff's office here in Kerr County. And so they're right now having a kind of a private briefing. We were allowed to go in for a few moments. And mostly they were updating the governor and the lieutenant governor and state officials on the efforts to rescue people and the recovery efforts as well, bringing them up to speed on that. We weren't able to be in the room for very long, but we did catch the governor saying that essentially he would give them whatever they needed. And then we were ushered out here to this area where the news conference is going to take place. And so they've got everything set up behind us. And they're hoping to really coordinate things from this point forward, because they don't like to give out differing information when state officials are not on the scene, they're in a different place, and maybe they give out outdated information or information that conflicts with what local officials are hearing and seeing here. And that was the case earlier today when there was some confusion when the number of 6 fatalities was being given out still by state officials. And here at our briefing at 3 o'clock or 3:30 this afternoon, we were told by local officials at that time that they had 13 fatalities. And they made a note to say that the 13 fatalities had been located, not identified, because identification is something, of course, that can be more complex, especially in these conditions, and might take more time. So for the governor to be here along with other state officials, it not only presents obviously a united front that they want to show, but it also helps them coordinate things better, get their information more focused for us, so that there's not contradictions or problems with maybe misinformation that is a mistake. So we'll continue to wait here, and hopefully at any moment they'll come through that door and brief us and give us the latest information. For now, I'm going to send it back to you.
They were trying to talk to me. I can't hear. So,
because I'm like 10 seconds into my spiel, and they're like, the producer's like, "Can you hear me, Jay? Can you hear us?"
Yeah. So it was the delay, but that was the only way that we could even get that signal out.
So how do we run into that?
Well, this isn't going to matter because it was just like they're just taking this. It's the queuing from reporters to this. That's the delay. The only, I mean, I can easily switch this back to that. I had totally forgot that we were on the long delay until that happened, and then it was kind of like, I'm on the delay. That's the reason why. Because
So we're off the delay.
no, we're on the delay. We have to be on the delay in order to be able to get the signal as strong as we can get it. Because if I drop it down to 1 second, the possibility all of this is going to pixelate.
Okay. So later on when we go, I just have to have the producer cue me, or
No. Yeah, unless this thing goes into the 10 o'clock. But as soon as this is over, then I can immediately switch back over to the second. So when we come up for WAI, you'll be fine.
okay. So you want this?
Yeah. here they come.
Yep, yep. Yes, here they come.
During the press release. Because I'm on a different channel. I won't get any audio there. They need to make a decision and they need to make it now.
Did you switch over?
No, nobody told me anything.
Okay, let's get their audio, not mine now.
You want theirs?
Yeah.
The response that's taken place here in the center part of Texas. And we need to continue to invoke God Almighty. The one thing I hear the most from really across the globe, prayers that are being sent for those who are in harm's way to be successfully rescued. Those who are giving thanksgiving to God right now because their family member has been located. Those who remain prayerful that their family member too will be found. This is a time when we as a state, we as a community need God more than ever. The kids off at camp, joyful, excited about the upcoming day to celebrate the 4th of July. Campers alongside the river, doing the same thing. One of the from waking, were not in harm's way, but went into harm's way to try to save the lives of others, but who lost their life. Up into robust response by the state and local governments and by people who live in these communities impacted by this. We had a meeting with officials at the state and local level, and there is extraordinary collaboration to make sure address Texas Task Force 1 and Texas Task Force 2. There are some of the best experts in the world at search and rescue missions. And know this, we remain in a search and rescue posture right now. So it's been going on over the course of the search and rescue missions. They will continue in the darkness of night. Taking place when the sun rises in the morning. They will be nonstop, seeking to find. The Texas National Guard has been a part of that process, and you'll hear the general in charge of that speak here soon, as well as that are involved in this process, as well as the Texas Division of Emergency Management. I have to be supporting them in their endeavors. Whatever these communities need, the state of Texas is going to step up and provide it. But we know that what is needed and wanted the most, who are waiting, and as you will hear, we are working on strategies to deliver on that information that families are craving. Importantly, we will stop at nothing to ensure that every asset and person and plane and whatever is needed is going to be involved in the process and ensure everybody involved in this is going to be fully accounted for. As a part of this, I'm signing a disaster declaration. The proclamation here that I'll sign, but I want to tell you in here, I'm declaring the following counties: Bandera, Coke, Comal, Concho, Gillespie, Kendall, Kerr, Kimball, Llano, Mason, McCullough, Menard, Reed, later are going to have access to every tool, strategy, personnel that the state of Texas can. We'll put in everything we have in the entire state. Someone
Dalton, who's our city manager, told us earlier that he was jogging at 3 in the morning along the river, and there wasn't a drop of rain falling. And within a few hours, about 26 feet, and actually it rose that quickly in about 45 minutes of those 2 hours. And since that first alert went out early this the sheriff immediately, and since 4 or 5 this morning, they have not stopped. We put forth the speakers talk about the specifics of everyone we had in the air, drones, helicopters, but from the first minute. And the river rose. These people behind us, Governor, have done everything they can. We find every body, and the rescue continues that effort. We will not stop. And message, hey, get down on your knees and pray for these families tonight and all these.
There's going to be other people who speak. They do speak. I want to recognize a few others who will be involved in this process. One is the state representative from this area, West Riddell. Want you? State Senate District. And we have the Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Warden, Colonel, who's here with us. Thank you all for being a part of this process. And now I want Sheriff Letha.
Yes, Sheriff Larry Letha, Kirk County. What I'd like at this time, and we will continue to have them until we finish this mission. I want to tell you all that we will be working around the clock 24/7 until every person is found. What I can, we're not going to be giving any names out at this time. We're still notifying next of kin. Also, I've been notified one fatality has been found in Kendall County. I cannot say it's related. During this time, we've got a lot of things going on. Y'all see what? There's a lot of people here. We have a lot of resources. We just need more time, and we're looking really into tomorrow through the next several days. Information, as we get it, we will get it to you. We'll continue to have briefings. We'll continue to keep updated at this time. Mr. Mayor Herring.
I'm Joe Herring Jr. I'm mayor of the city of Kerrville. My job today is to tell people thank you. People from across the state have come to help. City, county, state, all working together, all working for the leaders. You are our heroes today. We will not stop. We will rescue the but I'd also ask, pray for our community. This is a hard day. There will be hard days to come. Pray for us. We covet your prayers. Thank you.
The safe. I want the Director, Colonel Freeman Martin from the Texas Department of Public Safety to explain to you all the details about the links that DPS has gone through over just less than the past.
To get up here and brag about, you know, the successes when there's life lost and kids that are still missing. But I can tell you every asset, every resources that the Department of Public Safety has is being used here today. We have long-lasting relationships with the sheriff. And over 100 troopers this morning. All day rescues, high water vehicles, boats, rescue drivers, divers, 7 rescue helicopters with hoist capabilities, and that was just today. We have up in the morning, but we will not stop. In addition to the search and rescue, that's the priority right now. Moving forward, tomorrow we're going to bring people to help our partners here in Kerr County and HHSC. We have Parks and Wildlife here. They're providing. Today we Task Force 1, everybody working in support of our local partners. That's what right looks like. There are no egos here. There's nobody in charge. We're all working together. We're all communicating, and we will not stop until we find every last person. This is not. This won't end. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day. We had a hard time getting in this morning with the weather, the way it was. So as the day went on, cover more. That will continue to horses en route. So with that, I'll turn it over to General Seltzer.
Good afternoon. As the governor has already said, he has ordered me that the Texas National Guard has to these local officials in this community. Today, we activated 5 helicopters with hoist to do rescue operations. They were paired with rescue swimmers from Texas Task Force 1. These crews trained together year-round just for this situation, and they were ready to respond. Using high-profile military vehicles to move evacuees out of high water areas to shelter. And 167 of those were by helicopter. So we're having a very good helicopter response. Our operations tomorrow, we'll be sending personnel to help with evacuee shelter management, and also can band evacuees to help get accountability of who's being evacuated into the shelters. Thank you.
Thank you, General, and thank you to the men and women of the Texas National Guard. And now, Nimke, the Chief of the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. Our afternoon here in our state o'clock yesterday afternoon. The original forecast that we received on Wednesday from the National Weather Service predicted 3 to 6 inches of rain and in broadcast journalism and meteorology, you can go back and look at your own forecast, and the amount of rain that fell in this specific location was never in any of those forecasts. Nonetheless, in partnership with our local officials here, we had yesterday. When the rain fell and the calls came in, we immediately jumped into action alongside of our local partners. In addition to the local partners that are here, we have 150 personnel, search and rescue experts from Texas A&M Task Force 1. We have over helicopters. I want to run through that list really quickly. 150 from Texas Task Force 1, that is 30 boats and additional high-profile vehicles. You heard from Colonel Martin in the Texas Department of Public Safety. Colonel Vanderroos down on the end has over 170 personnel here, 167 four-wheel drive vehicles, and over 53 boats in addition to their aircraft. You heard from General Seltzer about the military departments. The A&M Forest Service is here to help us do tree removal and get trees out of the way and help with incident management. The Department of State Health Services has 164 members from the Emergency Medical Task Force here with over 71 pieces of equipment. You may see ambulances in this county that aren't anywhere from near here. They're part of the Emergency Medical Task Force. Questions when you have them. And Governor, at this point, that ends my prepared remarks.
Thank you very much. So this is a 24/7 effort. Everyone needs to know, day or night, whatever hour of the day, there will be local officials, state officials collaborating together. Also want to thank the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, who gave me a phone call today to offer any assistance that we need. Secretary of the U.S. Department of the Interior, who called and offered any support that they could provide. So this is here in the heart of Texas to accelerate the process.
The estimate on how many people are missing or unaccounted for?
No, at this time, sir, no, we don't. We don't have an estimate. The problem was, it was a holiday weekend here. We have a lot of No, it's still, it's between 23 and 25. We have not confirmed that yet. We're still working on that, sir.
So the federal partners were helping with us, but we didn't receive any national. Why there wasn't any updates from the national.
And give you a good example. Where's he at?
City manager.
Yeah, this I'm going to have the city manager can explain to you, kind of in real life terms, exactly what happened, when it happened, and how it happened, and why it was.
And as the Lieutenant Governor alluded to, I was out on the river trail this morning. Going to jog. I left there probably about 4 o'clock. There was very light rain, no signs of the river. I come from the Houston area, so very used to hurricane. Signs of the river rising at that time. I started getting phone calls probably about 5 o'clock. We went, the Fire Chief Maloney and I went back out to Louise Hayes Park, up and ready for the 4th of July event, which is at the river level. By the time we got to the National EMR truck, we could not get it out, and we almost got stuck on the top level. So there's a pavilion within it. We were monitoring that as much as we possibly could.
After the 1987 flood, there were some flood alarms installed along.
We were monitoring that as much as we possibly could.
After the 1987 flood, there were some flood alarms installed along the river. Are those still working? Any reason why they wouldn't?
A lot of the times, I think, and again, I'm relatively new here, there's alarms typically in Comfort or further downstream. When you look at the headwaters of the Guadalupe, which we are at the headwaters of the Guadalupe, there's a north and a south fork. And so under, we'll say since 1987, under normal conditions, if you call it that, you'll hit water in one of those areas. And those two forks will converge into the Guadalupe, which comes through the city of Kerrville. This rain event sat on top of that and dumped more rain than what was forecasted on both of those forks. When we got the report, it was about 7 feet or so on the South Fork, and within a matter of minutes, it was up to 29 feet, and all of that converged at the Guadalupe, and that's where we saw those very quick rise in flood. So there's not alarms everywhere on the river. No, sir.
Sheriff, you said there were 23 deaths and 24?
No, 24. Right?
24, and if that's the entire river, that's just this county?
That's just this county, in the county.
Do we know the total? That's what we said, that needed to be one more?
We do have a report from one fatality in Kendall County.
I want to ask, what is the process if an evacuation now? This seems like it came on very fast. I spoke with some flood victims in Ingram who said their home was flooding as rescues were happening down the river. They asked me, why weren't there evacuation notices? like to get an evacuation notice? What's the threshold to send the number of people?
So just like anything with evacuations is very difficult, right? There's a balance between do you evacuate and then put chaos onto the road and potentially risk people getting stuck on a road. This is the hill country. For those that haven't been here, there are hills. There's a lot of low water crossings. And if you spark an evacuation at the wrong time or create an evacuation, you could go into a mass panic, get people on the road, which could be even more deadly by having vehicles swept away. So there's a very fine balance between sheltering in place, getting to the high grounds. A lot of our operations plans, especially with these camps, that is the plan, is sometimes shelter in place, get them to those known high grounds, and then wait for rescue. Again, when this came in, people are sleeping. Even if you were able to try to get notification, that evacuation period is a very delicate balance.
Can you guys confirm if game wardens did go into Camp Mystic and pull kids and staff out of there?
Good morning.
Yes, so starting early this morning, we had about 107 game wardens along with our aviation group trying to make access into the camp. Shortly after midday, we breached over into the camp and were able to start removing children from the camp from there.
Is Camp Mystic the only camp that's under this sort of duress? I've gotten reports of other camps that seem to be evacuated okay, or is that the only one that we're really working on right now?
Yes, yes. That's the only one is Camp Mystic. All the other camps, we've accounted for everybody and everything's fine. Camp Mystic's where we had all our trouble.
Also River Inn, which is just, west of that area.
Yeah, I mean, I have no reports of it. It's just Camp Mystic at this time.
What are the hardest hit areas from what you can tell as far as where the fatalities or the currently known missing person reports are coming from? And how far is your search area extending right now from where upstream to where downstream?
We're working anywhere from about 30 miles west of Kerrville on the Guadalupe River at this time. But that out west, on our east side, we didn't have any problems. Everything is pretty much west of Kerrville. All our issues are from this flooding.
And as far as where the hardest hit areas were along the Guadalupe?
Well, yes, we're about 30 miles from.
I just meant to were there particularly properties or campgrounds that where you're seeing the most damage, the most loss of life or missing people?
Anything close to the rivers where we're seeing property damage and missing people.
To add on to that, when you look at the 100-year flood map, we're trying to get as much comparison as we can. While we don't know if it's the exact 100-year floodplain map, it is darn close. And so that shows a lot of stuff when you look at that. So anything along the forks, anything along, camping, cabins, RV parks, even some things that were kind of on the higher end RV parks were, again, the massive amount of water that came in, we're just moving those vehicles out of those areas.
And there's been a lot of talk about how this was not foreseen. Lieutenant Governor, you had mentioned in your press conference earlier today that the regional director has contacted local officials to let them know about the possibility of flooding, but we're now hearing we didn't know what was going to happen. So what was the warning or conversation that happened?
Yeah, is Jay Hall?
Yeah, Governor, I'll take
Yeah,
that. So the State Emergency Operations Center started having daily briefings yesterday on the potential for flood for all of this part of Texas, from here out to San Angelo and Abilene and further out. We have been in contact with local officials, and at some point in time in the future, we're happy to share those emails and contact information of what we had shared. But listen, everybody got the forecast from the National Weather Service, right? You all got it. You're all in media. You got that forecast. It did not predict the amount of rain that we saw.
And what was the severity that you were warning about that time?
Well,
Based on that?
using, yes, sir.
What were you warning might happen in terms of flooding?
So using the National Weather Service data, which we were all looking at, they were warning 3 to 6 inches of rain. However, some of those models showed numbers that were higher than that, which caused us to activate additional resources and have them in the area just in case, and those were put immediately into use as soon as the rain fell and the 911 call started coming in. They were already here.
What kind of resources were they? What was prior to?
Yes, sir. Great question. It was Texas A&M Task Force 1 Swiftwater rescue teams, as well as military high-profile vehicles, and the aircrafts were close in theater, but not directly in theater. boat teams are professionals from San Antonio and Austin and the surrounding area that, as the general said, train mission every day. They got here at noon yesterday. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, to the point where one of the response vehicles got washed away. That's how fast they got caught up in it. They were in the middle of it. They were ready to go. Not to that group, no, sir.
As much as you can talk about the nature of the camps, are you getting updates from people because it's such a, they're from all over. Some of the kids we've had missing are from Austin and San Antonio and Beaumont. What was your phone going like for you when you were out in the area? I know that.
Is blown up. The fact of the matter is, calls were coming in first, from my team in the governor's office, Chief Kidd, the other leaders, where we collaborate on this all the time. But over the course of the early morning hours, stories started coming in from people that we know well. This is an area that we've been coming to for close to 20 years, and we know the camp and the camps down here quite well, and we have a lot of friends involved in this. And so there were a lot of my fellow Texans who have great concern about everything that's happened here, and that spurred us into action to make sure that we were going to turn over every stone to make sure every Texan, there may be people here not from Texas, everybody here is going to be accounted for as quickly as possible.
As much as you can talk about it, can you talk about the timeline, what locals can expect, and again, where they can get the resources if they're concerned about missing people, their website specifically that they can go to for resources, and what we should expect as far as updates?
Hey, can you rephrase that question for me? I want to make sure I understand it.
Can you give any sense of the time, as best you can?
Additional volunteer resources. We manage our local partners at the city for volunteer and donations, and they can give you those websites put out in a little while. Rain in this part right now can cause additional issues of flash flooding, and so this is where I really need all of your help. Tell the people that don't live here and don't have family here and don't have family that are missing not to come here. Do not come in this area and start looking around. We had people that were blocking bridges today while we had emergency response vehicles trying to get out and do rescues. So if you don't live in this area and you're not personally involved in this response, don't come to Kerrville, Texas right now. That's part number one. Part number two is if you do have someone that is missing, the city will be putting information out, and we want you to report that back in. So I want to add on to your
I've been governor. We've had weather events that were completely unpredictable, and that's just a part of nature.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
assume they want me to go live.
Okay, let me know. Cannot wait to get out there and enjoy that nice 65-degree weather. Be like, am I really in July?
That includes 30 boats and 167 off-road vehicles. There are also military high-profile vehicles helping in the search, and of course those swiftwater rescue teams. Is there a problem?
Yep. My problem, not yours. How far out are we?
Okay.
Check.
Microphone check. So the new fatality figure is 24, although the sheriff said a couple of times there's a fatality in Kendall County that they're investigating. They're unclear if it's related to the flood event. Well, Jonathan and Mandy, very disturbing news to hear that death toll go up from 13 earlier in the day to 24 now. The sheriff here in Kerr County also said there's another death in Kendall County that they're trying to confirm is related to the flooding event. I asked right after they announced that, how many people total missing or unaccounted for? And the answer was they just don't know. And that's the chilling part of this, is that so many people were either vacationing, taking the holiday out here in this part of the hill country, camping, or at one of these many camps that are in this area. And so they're really unclear of how many people that they're dealing with total. But obviously they say they're going to search 24/7 and do everything they can, utilizing all the resources at their disposal until they find the very last person. Now, eventually some questions were asked about why this caught us so off guard and surprised emergency operations people here and at the state. Nim Kidd, who is the chief of emergency management for the state, said that the National Weather Service had forecast 3 to 6 or 4 to 6 inches of rain. They just didn't think that they were going to get the kind of torrential rain that they did. Even so, they say there was enough indicator that there would be severe weather that they did have briefings yesterday. He says that at the state level and with local officials there were some meetings, and also that swiftwater rescue teams from San Antonio and Austin were staged not in this area but nearby and did respond quickly, along with military high-profile vehicles that joined the effort as soon as it was determined that things were getting out of hand. We also heard from the city manager here in Kerrville, who reiterated that he was out walking along the Guadalupe River at 3 a.m. In the morning, and there were no signs at that time that the rain was going to be that hard. In fact, he described it as not raining at all or very light rain. And then I asked the question because some viewers had asked me about, were there flood alarms along the river? Because after the 1987 flood alarms were installed. I asked that question and I was told basically by the city manager that there aren't flooding alarms all along this entire stretch of the Guadalupe River. In fact, many of them are not until you get to the Comfort area. But he said in the area that we're talking about here in Kerrville that there were no flood alarms. So that's obviously something that's going to be looked at in the future as well. As far as rescues, they did say that there were 237 rescues or evacuations, and 167 of those were by helicopter. They said they have checked 18 camps up and down the river. And of course that brings us to the topic of Camp Mystic, where they updated the number. It hasn't changed much, but it's somewhere between 23 and 25 unaccounted for at Camp Mystic, which of course is that camp for young girls. And so very tragic news there, but they are determined that they're going to keep searching until they find all of the individuals affected. And of course, they did ask for prayers for everyone, for this community, really this entire region. One last thing I'll add is that the governor did sign a disaster declaration for not just Kerr County, but surrounding counties, Bandera, Llano, many others, so that the maximum amount of resources can be used in this effort. Back to you from Kerrville.
Thank you.
Not question. So we're still doing the look live, right? And so basically, minute-long debrief on the latest with a generic sign-out in between the CBS Austin News. So should I just kind of repeat what I just did? Like I don't have a sound mic. Okay, sounds good. We'll go ahead and do that. All right,
I couldn't tell if they were, off of me or what. So let me look here. Somebody's texting me something right now, though. So.
All right. Ooh.
Sounds like they might come back to us after Destiny.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Jay. Joe can't hear right now. I'm using his phone. Somebody just got on IFB saying, Joe?
Well, since my name ain't Joe, I guess I don't have to worry about it.
Oh, what am I thinking? Who are they talking to? Oh, Joe,
I have no idea.
the weather guy.
Could be. Very well could be.
Now I'm going to start malfunctioning.
Huh?
Now I'm just going to start malfunctioning. Operating on an empty stomach. Yeah, Joe DiCarlo.
Huh?
Joe DiCarlo, that's who they were trying to get a hold of. They're just jumping on IFBs willy-nilly.
Joe,
Joe, Jack, Jay, I can't
Joe,
keep track of it.
Jimmy,
Am I Joe?
Carla, Sam, anybody? Somebody talk to me. Oh, man.
I've really been on IFB for an hour. Wow.
Yep.
Something's vibrating. Let's go. Oh, can you do a Fox Live shot? I'm assuming. All right, I'm going to tell him yes. What do we have to do? Just dial up the other number?
I guess so. Oh, man.
Okay. So I guess you want to go ahead and dial it for me, or get it for you. Alternate. So it looks like the Fox one is 210-901-7353.
7353. There you go.
Anyways.
know what they didn't say? When's the next press briefing?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to be like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And who are we going to have here to get it?
I doubt that, but I'll ask somebody.
How far out?
No one has talked to me specifically.
All right.
I heard I was talking to there, the bald guy that worked for the state.
Mm-hmm.
He was my photographer at KXAN. Wow. Early 90s. And then he was an assistant news director at KSAT for a while. And left, went to Houston, Atlanta, places like that. Now he's working for the state. He and I were at Waco together.
The big town of Waco.
Branch Davidian standoff. I probably can go in there and find somebody after we get done with our live shots and ask them about. Although I'm sure they'll send us.
We could. I don't know if this guy can have any information. He said up in the air, they'll send out a media advisory.
What do you say?
He said it's up in the air, they'll send out a media advisory whenever they make a decision.
Okay, so why did... Oh, I got hung up on. Can you get me back in and redial? Somebody hung up on me off the... Somebody hung up on me.
Okay, I can't even get out of.
Are we live U9?
Yes. How anybody working there today hasn't figured